The Kardashian of Cheshire. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. For those of you who may not be familiar with Cheshire, it is a county in the northwest of England and is a fairly affluent county. It's often the case that those who make their money in Manchester, such as the footballers for Manchester United and Manchester City, and other teams nearby, and those that are notable in the world of entertainment and industry, choose to live in Cheshire, as it's a very pleasant county and its denizens are often referred to as the Cheshire Set. You will, unfortunately, be familiar with the Kardashians as a consequence of that family's dominance of reality television and other matters repeatedly appearing in the headlines, a family that has a number of narcissists within it. Thus, the world of the Kardashians comes crashing into the leafy lanes of Cheshire. And, unsurprisingly, the theme is a narcissist. A man who described himself as the Kardashian of Cheshire, grandiosity, conned £200,000 from his friends and family in a designer handbag scam. Manipulative behaviour, absence of accountability, absence of emotional empathy. Jack Watkin, 26, convinced those close to him, including his father, to loan him money on the promise of either a financial return or luxury items, promised gain, Chester Crown Court heard. He then went on to spend the money in Harrods and racked up a bill of more than £100,000 at the Dorchester in London. Failure to deliver, absence of accountability, grandiosity, sense of entitlement, showcasing. Watkin of Alderley Edge pleaded guilty to 6 counts of fraud on the second day of his trial and was warned by Judge Simon Barkson that he faced a prison sentence. It can now be reported that during the investigation, police discovered indecent images of children on Watkin's mobile. So not only is this narcissist a con artist, he's a pervert as well, causing him to look at indecent images, which again demonstrates a sense of entitlement and the absence of emotional empathy. He denied the offences, but was convicted of 9 charges, including 3 of making an indecent photograph, pseudo-photograph of a child. In total, Watkin viewed at least 739 images, of which 274 were Category A. He'll be sentenced for all charges on September the 3rd. Detective Constable Gareth Yates said Jack Watkin is a male who has built a lifestyle on social media on Instagram, and that lifestyle is one of exuberance. Once again, social media facilitating the needs of the narcissist, allowing him to assert control over an audience by creating an illusion of what his life is like. Now, there are plenty of people on social media who behave similarly, who are not narcissists, but that behavior of itself is narcissistic because it is an exaggeration of what they actually are. It's a creation of an illusion. It's a fixation with success, a fantasy of achievement, which isn't actually genuine. And thus, to repeatedly portray yourself as having an exuberant lifestyle, being wealthy, being able to afford designer items, is all part of that exaggeration and grandiosity that one would associate with narcissism. The police officer continued, if anyone was to look at that profile, you would see fancy hotels, luxury cars, designer clothing. And he created a following. And that following allowed him to create a ruse to be the fraudster we know now, and a convicted fraudster. Accordingly, By using other people's money, lack of boundary recognition, sense of entitlement, absence of emotional empathy, he then created an exaggerated version of his life, the illusion, which then allowed him to assert control over a social media following, draw fuel by way of their responses, and generate a facade of success. The police officer continued by explaining that Watkin often described himself as the Kardashian of Cheshire, grandiosity. What my understanding from that would be is that he is an individual of wealth and has the ability to purchase wealthy items. As a result of that, he gets notoriety from an Instagram perspective, in other words, fuel. People follow him with a desire to be him. Opening the trial on Monday, Matthew Carish-Jones, prosecuting, said, the defendant put forward the outward facade of a glamorous and luxurious lifestyle. This, it seems, engendered trust and led a number of individuals to loan him large sums of money on the promise of either a financial return or luxury items, neither of which materialized. Accordingly, he creates the image of success, so this not only allows him to assert control and draw fuel and to manage a particular facade, but it also allows him to then cause people to think, oh, right, he's well off, he's successful, therefore I can trust him, which then allows him to achieve the residual benefit of more money. The prosecutor explained that complainants would be left out of pocket for large sums of money. The defendant would make excuses, avoidance of accountability, and avoid the complainant's nullification of threat to control, all the while spending large sums of money on maintaining his seemingly lavish lifestyle, parasitic behaviour, sense of entitlement. Watkin was said to have told victims that their money would be used to buy Hermes handbags, which were then to be sold on for a profit. Hermes, which are only available to selected registered customers, often attracted a value far in excess of their original price when resold. One of the victims, James Earlham, was defrauded of £13,000 after he was told that Watkin had a personal relationship with the director of Hermes and was able to source handbags. Lie. Watkins defrauded his own father, Jason, of £24,500 and his friend Hannah Jakes of £98,500. Accordingly, Watkin wasn't just defrauding strangers, he was defrauding people that were known to him, underpinning and underscoring the complete absence of emotional empathy that he has for them. It's interesting that those individuals were duped because presumably they would know that he didn't have this particular lifestyle, given that one was the father and one was the friend, or maybe he was suitably convincing. His victims also included Christine Colbert, the owner of Dress Cheshire, who was defrauded of £43,800, and Andor Farkas, a barman at Harrods, who lost £14,000 after believing that Watkin, a regular customer, was a millionaire. Delusion, exaggeration. Watkin also pleaded guilty to the £840 fraud of Naheem Akhtar, who the court heard had given Watkin the money for a pair of Laura Piana shoes, which he never received. Judge Buxton told Watkin, "You have today pleaded guilty to a number of charges of fraud. Those charges are serious and involve a significant amount of loss to victims of your fraud. There's no doubt only one sentence must follow from those guilty pleas." Accordingly, this individual is evidently a narcissist with regard to the fact that he has fantasies of unlimited success, that he exaggerates his achievements, that he is haughty and dismissive with regard to his victims, that he operates with a sense of entitlement, an absence of emotional empathy for not only strangers that he has defrauded, but a member of his family and a friend. He shows no accountability for his actions. He shows an absence of boundary recognition as the consequence of taking other people's money. He shows various manipulative behaviours in relation to promised gain, the telling of lies, future faking. He operates with a facade of success which isn't genuine. And accordingly, He utilizes social media as a means to portray a particular image, to cause people to respond, showing that they're under control and providing him with fuel, and then utilizing that image to defraud more people, enabling him to continue his parasitic lifestyle. There is little doubt that this is a narcissist, but once again it demonstrates the danger of social media in the hands of a narcissist who is able to create an image that many people fall for, both in terms of those that follow him and those that believe the image that he has curated, so that he is seen as successful, which moves them to then part with their money. The access to social media for this narcissist allows him to generate this residual benefit. It allows him to assert control. It allows him to draw fuel. It allows him access to a variety of different individuals and shows, once again, in the wrong hands, social media has significant consequences for other people. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.